All right, so we are doing Bicentennial Man, and this is the first time I seen this movie, even though it came out in 1999. And I must say, there's certain parts to this movie where I either love it or hate it. But right now I'm on the edge of like, hey, I'm really liking this movie a lot. But I do agree with you, Shane, because you told me like this is going to be one
It's
of those that seems long, and
because it's
I
so
I do
slow.
agree. It is very slow from what I seen, right? It's because it's told from the point of view from the robot. So from the movie I'm getting like he lived to be 200 years old. So everybody that the family he grew up with, right, only took almost half of the movie, like with Sam Neill's family and the
Yeah,
character.
Sam Neill's family, Mr. Jurassic Park.
So this is different than what I thought it was because I can't remember the trailer. I didn't watch the trailer before this movie. I just dove right into it, and then there's some questions, and I feel like even though this is 1999, I feel like there was some elements right from this movie that brought me back to the 1980s because this is done by Christopher Columbus. He
Yeah,
who did
Christopher
Home
Columbus,
Alone.
and this is 1999.
Yeah, 1999. So there was a lot of stuff that like nobody asked at that time, I guess. Even though I'm watching it in 2024, and I'm questioning like they never said what this family does, right? And then from what the
No, they
movie,
didn't.
no,
Yeah, they
but they
don't. They never.
they live in a huge house, so I'm assuming it feels like rich people are the only one who can get these robots. At the same time, when I'm watching this movie, it feels like I'm watching a different version of iRobot.
Oh yeah. Well, it is, but the thing is, this is the positron. Isn't it called the Positronic Man or the Positronic Brain? Yeah, it's called the Positronic Man. This is a book made by the same person that wrote I, Robot.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it's similar.
So okay. So because when
That's
I
why you get the three in all of his stories. His robots have the three
three
follow the
laws,
three
right?
laws all about
Okay.
it.
So the way I see is like Sunny is it goes into run emotions that humans have. And then Andrew, it goes to the more emotional state that the humans have. And then like you know what's really funny? We never pointed this out in iRobot, but I noticed in this one because I pay more attention to it, right? The three laws of robotics. In iRobot, the police station doesn't have any robots working for them because it would break the three laws. If they ever come to a situation where they could become a threat, right? Like police have to shoot back because the suspects or whatever the criminal is shooting at them, but then the robots won't be able to shoot back because it would break the three laws of robotics. Does that make
Yeah,
sense? Yeah,
yeah.
because
The
we
three
never
laws of
talked about that.
robotics. But
Because
here's the
yeah,
sad thing about the three laws of robotics. So we're just gonna go ahead and put that out there
okay,
because all his movies, all his books have the three laws of robotics, and that's like the stepping cornerstone of iRobot. It's not really a big important part. Those laws really don't come into play in this movie really that much because. And the nice thing
no,
is, we live in a world where we have robots. We don't have androids. We have robots now. We have actual true robots here.
yeah.
None of them follow the three laws of robotics.
And also, there was one thing that bothered me: the older sister. Which, by the way, I feel like the older sister is just put in there in the first half of the movie, right? To set up
Just to
like
not.
to set up the
Just,
not her character, but like it set up the bias point of humans. Like some of them
yeah,
are not gonna like it because
yeah. It's just
what was the older sister's name?
I don't know, but she almost acts like the younger sister.
She almost did, but then I was going to bring it up like it. It kind of broke the laws of robotics because she asked him jump out the window of a second story, which caused harm to the robot, but not around a human being. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like he
yeah,
jumped
that
out the
makes
window, like
sense.
hey,
That would
it's
have caused
second
harm to
story.
himself,
Yeah, it did
and
cause
he
harm
shouldn't
to
have caused
himself.
harm to himself.
So
So yeah, you got a point there.
so I was upset at that already. But then as the movie progresses, it felt a little bit better for me, right? And at the same time, it's kind of like this is telling the story of Peter Pan.
Peter Pan, you mean Pinocchio?
No, I meant Peter Pan
Okay, this to me is
because
telling the story of
no, no,
Pinocchio.
I get the Pinocchio part, right? He becomes a real man, but the Peter Pan effect is because Pan fell in love with Wendy. Well, on the hook side,
Oh, and his size
which is also played by Robin Williams. He wants to grow old because Wendy grew old, and then like the
yeah.
way that Andrew
Well,
is in
yeah,
this movie.
you can see that too, because it could be like Hook too, because
Yep,
remember he follows the love of his Wendy, but by the time he makes it back to her,
it's his
it's
granddaughter. It's her
yeah,
granddaughter. Yeah,
it's her
and in
granddaughter.
this case, it's also the granddaughter.
It's also the granddaughter.
So it's like I do like this movie because I like robots, I like cars, like those kind of things, right? But I didn't like the emotion of it.
Well, that's the problem. The whole point of the movie wasn't really that great a movie. It
It's
wasn't
not
good
that
at
great.
all. But the movie had a good heart to it. It had a good
It does
spirit to it.
it
It
like
had, and it wanted to tell a good story.
it did.
It
Yeah,
just,
it did tell a
it
good story
just,
because
they
Christopher
just
Columbus
failed.
is
They
good at
just
that.
failed at telling the story.
It it did, but then at times I'm like, oh, this movie is really good. Like the way that he's
But the
filling the
thing is,
emotions.
this is not something you would think would be a Robin Williams movie either. He
Robin
tells a
Williams
few
have movies
jokes, but
like
he
this.
didn't. But he
Yes,
didn't do tons of comedy.
there was a lot of Robin Williams elements in this when he kept telling
Yeah,
those
that's Robin
jokes.
Williams, but it's not constant, like you would say.
No, it's not constant.
A lot of the problem with this movie, it should have been. Somebody said the script wasn't good. I don't think there was a problem with the script stuff. There does have a big jumping point in the movie where it kind of just time just kind of jumps
Yeah.
real quick. But the problem is the movie's just it's like we got to show him walk in the room and make all the noise. We got to show him sit down
Oh
and
yeah,
make all the noise.
those sound effects.
There's a lot of stuff they didn't really need. They could have edited it a lot better. There's a whole bunch of stuff it didn't need.
So
I
you
mean,
believe?
I'm good with all the characters. I'm good with most of the scenes. The problem is a lot of the scenes lasted longer than they needed to. There was more time taken in a scene than it needed to be.
Yeah, that is true too.
I mean, come on, this movie was 2 hours and a minute.
So that's when you plot that out, right? I understand the like when you said like the editing, the scenes don't have to be so long. One thing that did bother me is, but then it's not a big deal, right? I do understand why they cut that short. Is when the delivery guys came to the house and delivered the robot, right? They just leave immediately. Now,
Oh yeah,
through my whole experience of life, whenever a delivery person deliver like a refrigerator, right, a washer and dryer, they stay for a little while to hook everything up to make sure everything's
yeah. Well,
working.
I thought that was weird too because they open him up and they don't even tell you how this robot works. I
Yep.
mean, this is probably the most complicated thing you're ever going to own in
Yes.
your life.
But they
And they
just
deliver.
leave.
And I like how it opens it up. It looks like an expensive, Hot Toys
Yes.
or
Yes.
expensive action figures. Got all those stuff, the star and the foam padding.
So it brings me to my first question. So I wrote quite a few questions down because I love robots, right?
Oh, I got a question real quick
Okay.
before you move
No,
on
go
to your
ahead.
questions.
All right.
Hey, what did they do with the case that he came in?
They probably just broke it down and just throw it away.
Okay, just like everybody else say. Now let's get to the real questions,
Okay.
the ones that you're going to ask.
Okay. So first of all, for you and me, like opinion, right? Do we need robots with a face? So between like why I asked that because obviously in this movie, right, they make it look like Robin Williams, so that way it's just easy to adjust when Robin Williams becomes
Oh
like a
yeah,
real boy.
well, almost every movie that their explanation is, oh, so you'll get used to it having a face.
Yes.
I think I
So that's
think
a
it
human thing.
comes. Yeah, well, no, that's probably not even a true thing. Everybody has robots in their house now, and they don't seem to have a problem with it.
I think like your definition of robot, right? When you have a definition of
Well, I'm
robot,
going with the real
yeah,
definition of
yeah.
a robot,
Oh,
which is a
I know.
machine that does
I know.
work.
So, but that's when you say robot, right? People don't associate their vacuum cleaner as a robot. It just like a Roomba is a robot, like we talked about, right? They don't need a face
Yeah,
on those, but then people don't call those robots.
yeah. Well, the thing is, I think. Well, I think they're trying to do robots with faces on the space station to keep people so you can interact with it, so you don't get lonely. But the problem is, we've already been around robots for a long time. But see, the old stories of robots, they were like people. The first story
Yeah.
was what RUR Czechoslovakian story
So
or Czech Republic now.
you know what is really crazy that you just brought that point. I'm sorry I cut you off, but like this reminds me of Dr. Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster. Everybody call Frankenstein's monster Frankenstein. I feel like the
Yeah.
term robot is exact. It's almost
No,
like
well, it
exactly
was
the same.
robot, but robot just meant, like mechanical workers. I forgot what it really meant, but it was
Oh, okay.
mainly more. It's more for a type of worker, synthetic worker. It's like it was not really called robot. We eventually found the term robot out of this other word for robot. I wish I should have got my stuff together
Oh,
so I could have told you all this. We'll have to do another robot
Oh, I
movie,
was
and then
going to say, let's do another
I'll have
robot
to
movie
go.
so you could do
I'll
the
have to go
research.
get my book show you it is. But no, it came. But there was a book about some workers, and I think the guy on his chest. They even made it into a movie, and it had RUR on it, or it was a movie first.
Oh,
Anyways, it's from the Czech Republic or Czechoslovakia at the time,
okay.
and it meant something. I forgot. But anyways, people thought the robots they need to look like robots, and people just started making robots in movies. Early movies look like people because it's easier to have an actor than build a
Yeah.
contraption.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah.
You're almost not going to be a contraption, and since that's stuck in people's head, all the World's Fairs and stuff that would show new technology always had a robot that looked like a person. But here's the funny thing: even old drawings. I wish I had the drawings. I'll have to do this another time. But I have a drawings. It shows, remember the plows? You put a horse and you stand there with a plow.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Well, they show a robot pushing the plow. Why would you do that? Because the robot could be the plow. See, that's the thing. You always show old robots. You show robots using a vacuum cleaner in your house. Well, then our saying is, why would you use a robot to push the vacuum cleaner? Why don't the vacuum cleaner be the robot?
So it's kind of like the
Same with the
Jetsons,
car.
right?
Well, same with the car. You'd have a robot get in there and drive you around. Why? Why don't you just have the car be the robot?
Like the yeah, 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 like
Yeah,
autonomous
see, that's
driving.
the thing. That's the ignorance of stuff. Because the United States Army still wants a robot that can drive a car. I'm like, make all your vehicles drive themselves. Why? Why do you really need something to
Oh,
get up inside a car? It's such a pain.
that's a good
It would be
point.
safe. It'd be safer for soldiers to have the vehicle move itself.
So it's kind of like you
And I think,
pointing
oh,
out.
what if it gets battle damage? But oh
So
well.
this has a lot to do with, do we need robot with a face? Because humans are
Yeah.
associated with a being,
Let's
regardless of
put it this
human,
way:
to serve us.
robots need a face for Hollywood because they got to act, and they need to express emotions. All the robots always have emotions. So I'm like, but that's really the thing. All those things, because even this movie goes, oh, I was a robot, now I'm an android. I'm like, what? To me,
Oh,
and really, an android is a next level up from a robot. A robot could be made to look like a person because it has in our history, but truly, a robot does not look like a person. A robot looks like the little
I'm
arms
like,
that
yeah,
you
yeah.
move. Yeah, any robot could look anything. It does a job. All it has to do, and robot's a real simple term. It's a mechanical machine that does a human job for us, or does a
So,
job for us.
so for you to answer this question, you don't need a robot with a face.
Not
Oh,
unless I want it to be my girlfriend.
that's different. So R2D2 is fine. Like 3C3PO is also fine for you
Oh yeah,
because
I'd
those are
take
the
R.
payers.
I would take, and of course I would take R2D2 over C3PO pretty
The
much
reason why is
because he moves a lot quicker and he gets around a lot better.
oh,
It's not because he's
oh.
annoying or anything. He moves and he gets around a lot better, and he does seem to fill more jobs that I would need because I need something to help me fly my spaceship. I don't really need to converse with any
And
other alien. Like,
R2D2 can open stuff. Yes.
yeah, R2D2, he can fly, he floats, he moves, he drives. He's much quicker. He is more of a tool than R2D2 is just a
Well,
shiny
C3PO is
gold
only
tool.
like one function, the language
Yeah,
thing.
basically all he does is walk. When he walks, he's clanky. He doesn't get through. Like I say, I had a spaceship. Like I had a big old spaceship. It's going to be such a pain for him to get on. You watch him in the movies. It's such a pain for him to get around the Millennium Falcon.
Yes, and he's very
R two
annoying.
D two will roll around, and it's funny, but R2D2 can actually lock himself into place.
So like the BB-8 is like an R2D2. It does the same thing
Yeah,
except for we haven't seen R2
BB-8's like
BB-8 fly,
yeah,
but
BB-8's okay, but most likely BB-8 rolls around. We don't know. His head pops up and off. He's like a little watchdog for you. I mean, he doesn't talk to you, but oh well. After we heard C-3PO, maybe you don't want him to talk to
I
you.
was gonna say the annoying factor is if they had that in this movie too. In
Yeah, but
when he found a
yeah, there is. But the thing is, it seems like a lot of the robots, like let's say you watch Star Wars, you have a lot of droids.
mm-hmm.
You have ones that walk. I mean, unless I got what?
Well, you have one that walks well too.
Yeah, you got some that walk well.
The battle droids walk way better than C3PO.
Unless I got a K250,
Oh, that's
I think
awesome.
I'll be okay. Unless I got a K250, I'll be okay. You don't need anything.
You know what? It
Or
feels like the K250 and the battle droids. They walk a lot. They could run
yeah,
and they could walk.
but a battle droid's too bulky, too big for your shit.
Oh no, the
Of
battle
course you
droids
can.
on
Of
the skinny
course,
ones.
if you got one with a little wheel in the middle and it could roll around like that, that'd be good. That's a
I
handy
almost bought
robot
that
too.
too.
Oh, who doesn't want one of those? Because I mean, if you got that, then of course you got the most famous one of
Oh
all,
yes, I was going to
Wally.
mention Wally also.
Johnny Five, Johnny Five,
Johnny
Short
Five.
Circuit.
It feels like Wally would move faster than Jolly Five.
I don't know. They got the same track. They both got tracks.
But then,
Why would Wally? Wally's got a big old load in the middle, and the other one would kill you.
but
Wally's just going to shake your hand. Johnny Five's going to vaporize you if he's the mean
because
one.
it's a weapon. Yes.
Yes, because he's a weapon.
So,
I mean,
so
of course, you always have the nanomites.
let's bring it back to Bicentennial Man.
Okay, well, I don't have one of those.
Um,
Oh wait, well, since we're gonna do this, I mean, I've already showed off so many robots. We might as well just go with, oh yeah, the original C-3PO and
wow.
R2D2. Yeah, I know. I should take it out and play with it, but I don't play with toys anymore.
Yeah. So I thought it was a really funny Easter
on
egg
YouTube,
in
I
this
don't.
movie because they put when the robot came out, and I think the older sister said like Kate McAllister has one, and I thought it was like, is
Oh
it
yeah,
like Kevin McAllister, like Home Alone?
that may have been. But
Because
I
it's
do
still-
like
it's
that. I do
Columbus,
like
so.
it though. She's like a most typical kids. Oh, all my friends already have one. I want something better.
And you know what? When she grew older, right? She looked like she belonged to Biff's crew from Back to the Future.
Oh yeah, she did. They looked like Back to the Future. Plus, I noticed that they went from driving a very expensive high-dollar car to driving a Chevrolet.
Like the futuristic Chevrolet.
Yeah, remember when she drives up in the future? She drives
Yeah.
the same thing that's the police car in Demolition Man.
Yeah, in Demolition Man with the Falcon Wing door. Yeah.
Yeah, those were Chevys.
Oh, just because who's
DMs.
sponsor, right? Yeah.
Well, that's okay. I'm just saying though, they went from driving Mercedes to.
You know what I also love in this movie that I didn't even know it's gonna be like this, right? The makeup, like from like Sam Neill's character, right? He went from like
Oh yeah, the makeup,
40s
the old makeup
like,
was actually
70,
impressive.
80, however. Yeah, everybody was impressive. Everybody's young and old. Obviously, the adults played themselves the older version.
Yeah,
But that
yeah.
was really good for like everybody. Even
and one of them played their own granddaughter. So
yes. And then the bad guy, well, not the bad guy, whoever, Little Mrs. Son, the bad guy from Beauty Madison, he was in this movie. And he played the same kind of character, which I like him for.
yeah,
But he wasn't in the movie long, but they still make him look old because it was his daughter that Andrew married.
Yeah, and I guess he had to be okay with that. And think about that. You think you got a problem with who would come around knocking for your daughter? You're like, oh, a guy from.
So,
I mean, it's
talking
like,
about
a robot.
that future part, right? It did bother me, like the robot can have sex, the robot can do all this kind of stuff.
Not
like,
originally, though.
Yeah, no, originally.
Not originally.
It's the evolution of.
Well,
like,
basically, he's
how he
Data.
got that.
Basically, he's Data. He's fully functional.
Data is fully functional.
That's what he even tells us. There's this episode of Star Trek where when the girls, where everything goes crazy on the ship, and when the girls ask Data, that's like, so he goes, "Yes, I am fully functional."
Wow.
This is like Star Trek because in a way this has been on Star Trek because you have Commander Data, who's a robot. He wants to have feelings. He wants to be more human. He strives to be more human. Of course, he has a brother named Lore, who's all
God, you
all
totally,
of it.
on the last
He wants
episode.
to wipe out the human race, and he thinks nothing of them. But anyways, when Lore's not around, Data wants everything that humans want.
Huh.
And he longs to get it. But a few times he does he gets feelings, and they're too much for him.
So this is basically
He even builds himself a daughter. But there is a thing: he's property. Federation found him on a planet and reassembled, and they decide that he's property.
So this is what I want to talk about.
But eventually, there is an episode where he decides that he is an individual and a person of his own, and he's not property of the Federation.
Okay, I am interested in that, but I want to bring it back to this movie because I want to ask questions about that, right? So when you mentioned robots are property, it does feel like they are dedicated servants.
They are dedicated.
Not really dedicated, but really loyal servants, right?
Well, I wouldn't say they're loyal. They are manufactured and programmed servants.
Yeah.
So that's where this story is kind of like a slave story in a way. But you got to remember, this one gave this robot this human quality, and also we got to set them free.
Okay, hold on. I want to build on that point because what bothers me is when Sam Neill brought the robot back to, I don't know, the guy from Office
Yeah, the
Space,
guy that
right?
owns. Yeah, well, the guy, which is funny because I want to also point out he didn't seem like he was somebody who would work there. Because to me, usually if you're the take
Wait.
back,
Before we talk about that guy, this is something that bothers me. how does Sam Neill know they had a special robot? Because I didn't see the commercial. I didn't know how robots are not supposed to work in a certain way in this movie. But what happens is how they wrote this movie. That bothered me a little bit when you talk about the screenplay. Is why does Sam Neill think he was out of place? Why? Maybe they're all
Oh, I
like
could
that.
tell you easily. No,
No,
why
no,
would
no.
you think?
It's because you know why I think that.
Well,
It's
he brought it back to ass
No,
though.
I know, but how I think that is because the audience would anticipate that robots should not act like that. But then at the same time, I'm not in this movie world to think that like the robot aren't supposed to act like that. That's the point I'm trying to bring. Like the way that you said it, right, is because he brought it back. But then why did he bring it back? Maybe all robots in
Well, but
this
no,
movie's
it did show
universe
why he
are
thought
supposed to
this movie.
because he thought he was unique. Like should
He
he
did
be able
think,
to think that like that? But then I'm still saying like in my way of
okay,
thinking.
well, I'm not getting you.
No, I'm saying like maybe all the robots from this company are supposed to act like that. Why was Sam? Because I didn't see the commercial in this world how the robots are supposed to act.
But
The way that I
but the
feel.
way, but yeah, but to me, the way this robot acted to begin with, and then all of a sudden he decides to start dreaming. He dreams up a horse. He didn't get it from a picture. He made the horse out of just this would fit and blah, blah,
Right,
blah. And then he sits there and he's appreciating music.
right. But then how do
A
I know?
robot, a robot can
Andrew's not the
appreciate
only
music.
model. Like maybe all of them are supposed to be like that. I'm saying like the thought process
But the
on that scene is taken from the real world to apply to this movie instead of like. And I'm saying like, maybe you're not getting me because you're still thinking in a way of like how the real world thinks about robots. And I'm saying in this fictional world, they shouldn't
Yeah, and
even
that's
think
fiction.
like
I know,
that.
I get you what you're
Oh,
saying, but
okay.
I mean, I don't think you have a point there to stand on because I mean, even there in their
Oh,
world,
I'm saying the movie didn't give us enough information.
okay. Well, to me, I felt like the movie gave me enough information.
No, because like he just brought it back because he does all these
No, I
things. Like,
get what you're saying.
yeah,
I get what you're
I want
saying.
to say
The movie didn't give you enough
no,
information.
but then how do I know that? Hey, my robot acts like this too, but I
Okay.
didn't want to bring it
Yes,
back.
I know.
Yeah.
But some people are going to watch this movie and they're going to feel like they got enough information. And
Oh,
some people are going to watch this movie and feel like they didn't get enough
and from what
information.
you said, right, is because people already have the thought of how the robot's supposed to act, and they apply it to this movie. That's what I'm
Okay, yeah.
saying.
I
And
know
I'm
that's
saying
what you're
like,
saying.
yeah,
And I'm saying that you're part of the audience that didn't feel like they gave you enough,
I
and
feel
I'm
like
part of the audience that feel like they gave me
I feel
enough.
like it's not fair in a way
And
too.
I also feel like when he fell out the window is when he started to gain everything and self-repaired himself.
Oh,
Because
that's
he
interesting.
didn't immediately rush him back. They let him fix
They
himself.
did let him because he also said that he can self maintenance.
Yeah. So most
Huh.
likely when he fell out the window, that's when he
Interesting.
probably
I
took a
also
change.
well not like right. I just also thought it was curious. Like you know how in Terminator they put like my battery lasts 200 years, but in this movie they didn't say how much the battery lasts. But all you can do is just recharge the engine.
Yeah.
They can
Was
keep recharging.
and he charged us with a simple
Yeah,
plug.
plug, which is okay. You know I could understand
It
that.
didn't even have it didn't even look like it had ground on it.
Oh, that plug. Yeah, I didn't have a ground on. And then they
Like
just did
what?
it in the basement, just like a little
Yeah,
plug.
but we got to remember though, in a world where you can build a robot like that,
Yeah, they probably thought of
lithium
that. Yeah,
batteries are probably not your lithium. They're probably already way better.
yeah, whatever that. Yeah, they don't have to
I
explain
mean,
that part.
but again, we're really getting into science, and the thing is, might as well be impressed with. I was impressed with the mechanical stuff that they showed to a point, for a 1999 movie
Yeah,
with them covering it in the
dude.
skin and stuff. I'm like, it's a little far fetched, but I was like,
Yeah,
wow, it's still
all the
impressive
special effects was really great in this movie.
to a point. I mean, the
Yeah,
stuff with the special effects to show the city scenes and stuff, they're not as good as we're used to.
no, because we are in 2024. But like back in
Yeah,
1999,
well,
when I was watching it, like, oh, this is still pretty good. Like,
no,
yeah,
it's not because I've seen other like sci-fi shows where the background cities looked a lot better than that. Because I guess it was too early for computers, and they should have went with a matte painting instead of a
oh, yeah.
effects. Because to me, like even Star Wars, when it used mass effects back then, they looked a lot realistic than
Than what this one showed.
computer imagery.
And it's
Yeah,
so crazy, like because 2002 is when Minority Report came out, and they showed the futuristic world a lot better than Bicentennial Man.
yeah,
It's only 3 years later.
yeah. When computer special effects caught up quite a bit.
Yeah, you're right about
But
that
but
too.
sometimes you got like I think when you have an effect that works and it's cheaper,
So why don't
why
yeah
don't you
go
go
with
with
that?
that
Yeah.
instead of use the more expensive one, which computers would have been to make something that
Yeah.
looks a little more fake. But anyways, all the organs look cool. It was pretty cool. But like I said, I got that he was special. And the thing that bothered me, but I understand why they did it. It's for
Okay.
story. For the story, you had to have kind of a villain. But they take it back to the guy that makes robots. Executives will probably feel that way. But if the guy you're going to take a robot back, let's say we had an amazing car or something,
Okay.
like Tesla car or something, it does all this stuff. The engineer is going to be ecstatic to see it.
Oh yes.
They're going to go, wow, because I mean, that's their passion. They built the machine. They're proud of the machine they built. And if it exhibits other things or faults or
They
stuff,
want
they
to
want to
know.
know.
Yeah.
Oh, they want to know about it. They're going to be more passionate. This guy could care less.
Sam Neill.
Yeah, no, not Sam.
Oh, the
Neill.
executive guy.
The executive guy. He could care less, which makes me wonder. In real life, you wouldn't have been taking the machine back to this guy to deal with. You would have took it to somebody. It was more like what's his name? What's the other
Oh,
actor?
that's a
Platt.
good point.
Because remember the actor that
Yes, Oliver Platt.
fixed it? Yeah, Oliver Platt. The engineer, the guy at that place would have been more like Oliver Platt. Would have been impressed with the work.
Yeah. Oh
And
yes.
would have been
Oh,
have
I
a lot
agree,
more
yeah.
questions, and probably wouldn't even disassemble to get to the root cause.
You know what? Yeah, you know what? It's like the exciting fan who was it? When we watched Alien Resurrection, the guy, the Marine guy, right? He was so excited to see an android. When Rhinona's character, he's like,
Oh, yeah.
he would, because he never thought he would see one. The engineers should be acting like that, like, whoa, we created this, but we didn't program this into the programming, and then
also,
somehow it's learning all this stuff.
and also we got to point out in this movie, the robots in this movie,
Yeah.
people apparently realized they didn't really need them. Because you notice, you see all the models that look like the main characters.
Yeah.
And then we see them all destroyed as
Yeah,
he
all
goes to hunt
destroyed.
for them down. But you never see anybody buy another. No houses or anything really has robots to wait on it.
So now I want to bring this up because in the beginning movie, right, we already talked about they have a big house. My other question is like, are robots only for the rich? It's like having a butler, right? So the other scenes that we see,
that's the question.
they're not rich people.
But the problem about the question that you asked, that only rich people have it by our lives. Yeah, of course you got to be rich, because any new technology comes out, only the people with more money have it. I mean,
Yeah.
It's like when VCRs come out. Man, I had to go somewhere else to see one of them.
Oh, that's very true.
And remember how big those VCRs were? They're huge, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. Then by the time we can afford it, they're little. They should be more impressive to us, but they weren't. Most people go, oh, I would like one of them old VCRs. Well, but you think about it, they weren't any better.
That is true too.
It's like laser players. I didn't have a laser player. I never even seen a movie on a laser player, dude. I just see them in magazines only.
You know, it's very funny. I think by the time I met you, right, we had a laser disc player because we did, because like a lot of Chinese people at that time, like in the mid '90s, to this day, were really into karaoke, and the karaoke stuff was on laser disc player. So my mother had one, and then like when she had one, right, we had movies like The Fugitive and Jurassic Park on laser disc. So it was like 94, 95, because I mentioned Jurassic Park, right? It was the best quality of video I ever seen in my life. It's on the laser disc, but then it's such a big old disc, and then you had to flip to the B side, like it's backwards and forwards, like it's printed.
Yeah, but it was also very expensive.
It was very expensive.
Yes,
very.
Advanced technology costs a lot. I mean, it's like when disc burners come out on computers.
Oh,
it took a little bit before anybody could get one.
Yeah, I think Cody got one like when there was like $300-400.
I mean, and this thing wasn't really high. Blu-ray player cost a little bit.
Yeah.
If they would not have put them on PlayStations, it would have probably been a long time before they were affordable.
Oh, that's right.
And they were trying to beat out, what was that other brand that they beat with the red
DVD.
disc? Yeah, they're trying to beat HD, and they did. That's why the only reason they did it, because they made it cheaper for what regular folks like me and you could get. But it took a while for me to get one.
Yeah, Blu-ray.
So I was like, man, I can't spend that kind of money, and I don't want a PlayStation. So you remember there was HD on Xbox.
And it's really funny.
It still costs money to get that.
I bought the Sony PS3 is because it had a Blu-ray player. That was a huge win for me.
Well, that was the first time I ever saw Blu-ray was at your house. So.
Yep, the PS3 and Metal Gear Solid 4.
Look at this guy. So yeah.
So okay, so it is for the rich.
Take a while. Yeah, well, certain technology. Yeah, because I mean, something like that advanced. I mean, come on, even Tesla cars. That's a good chunk of change coming.
It's a good chunk of change, but then he did
And
say
I'm not
like,
even talking about the money. I mean, eventually they would have been more affordable. But like I'm saying, I'm thinking the fad wore off because, like I said, we don't see robots anymore after that. But they're still upscale. You said they're not, but they
do
had
you
to be
think they did
upscale.
that in the movie on purpose so that way you could focus on Andrew? Like because that scene was about like him out of finding robots, right? So they
Yeah,
had to put like, well, we can't put like every robot he come across is gonna be a long time,
yeah.
right? That
Well,
makes
eventually
sense too.
though, apparently they quit making them though because he went and found them, and most of them were just parts
Yeah, junk
or
and parts. And
reprogrammed.
that he found one that was just laying the line on the baseball field, and that
Yep,
was
and he was
strictly
reprogrammed,
yeah, he was reprogrammed, and then
and he
that
probably
girl
bought
robot.
him at a discount.
So let
Yeah,
me tell you something. As soon as I
yeah.
saw the girl robot, I was a little very disappointed and
Exactly,
upset, and I was like,
exactly. You're supposed to be.
"What?" So
You're supposed
now,
to be.
now my other question is, do we need different sex for robots? Like, hey, this is the male version,
No,
this is the
no,
female
you
version.
don't. You don't. That's the thing. But you know why it was there to
Yeah.
mislead you because
Yep.
you thought he found what he was looking for too,
Yo, I
and
knew
so did he.
exactly. It
You because
bothered me a
even
lot.
me when I thought it's like, isn't that kind of weird that he looks all over the place and finally the last robot he finds that could
It's
be
a girl.
compatible
It's a
is a girl
female
robot,
version.
and that's what they wanted you to think, and then it turns out that this was a big. It's supposed to be very disappointing. They want you to be disappointed.
Oh, I was disappointed when they
Oh,
it
you were
says they saw.
disappointed when you
It was going to
saw
be
it,
disappointed like later, but yeah.
but I'm thinking a lot of people thought that. They're
Oh,
like, huh,
I'm
so
pretty sure.
this
Oh,
is
I got that too. Yeah.
so everybody in the audience. Even when I watched it the second time, I forgot
Oh,
about
really?
her. Yeah, I forgot about that robot altogether because I remember how it ends.
So you know what? Like I like this motion. I like this
This is
movie.
actually the only second time I've ever seen this movie because
Okay,
I rented it. I rented it. Well, I didn't go see it at the theater, but I rented it not long after it
it came out. So you were able to
came
see it
out. So
on
I saw it because
DVD.
I
Yeah,
well, yeah, because it had robots and it had raw meat. I was like,
yeah,
and I couldn't make it to the theater to see it, so I thought I'll just go to the rental store and saw it. But the problem is, I only watched it once because the movie is just so long.
yeah. It's it's really hard to
Well, I can't
pinpoint.
say it's long. I mean, it's 2 hours, and it's just it's a slow moving movie, which makes it too long.
Yeah, when I watched this movie, right, even to all the way to the end, and I was thinking like, oh, this is something that Heather would probably like. But then it's because it drags so long. I
Yeah.
don't want to let her see
Well,
it.
that's the thing. A lot of people don't like it. It has a rot. It's got a bit, horrible rotten tomato score and stuff. I mean, it's like what 30 something.
Yeah.
It
See,
ranks
I
like
don't know how
30.
that works though. Like, I
I
don't know
don't
how
really
Rotten
know, but
Tomato
I noticed a
works.
lot of people did not like it. Well, tons of people like it. But the problem is if you're able to stay awake
Oh yeah, I
and
was.
you watch it from the beginning all the way to the end, then you get that wow.
You know what I like about this movie is the emotional roller coaster ride
Yes, that's
that they
exactly.
give you,
That's what you get. You get
and that's the reason why I think like Heather would enjoy this because like man, it is
well,
really sad at
I
the end.
actually think everybody would enjoy it.
Oh,
Well, it's not just sad; it's
it's
happy too because
it's
he
sad and
gets
happy at the same time.
he gets
Yes.
what he was seeking, and you get rewarded for watching the whole movie through. But his problem is, man, they don't punish you with emotion; they punish you with just the movie being drug out too
Yeah.
long.
I feel like an editing thing we could have it done an hour and 30 minutes.
I think all they had to do was edit it a little bit better, and then movie would this would have been one of the top Rob
You know
winning
what's the
movies.
longest part? It's the first hour with the original
Oh
family.
yeah. And then you invest so much time into it, and then it's just like that moment where he's playing piano, and then she's already older. I'm like, what?
Oh,
This is where you're going to do it to us?
yeah. See,
We
this is those are the
we
cuts, and
miss
that is like,
we
what the
miss
heck
some of
happened? Yeah.
we most miss some of the most important time
Oh,
right there.
yes, we do. Let's see. Hold on. I'm reading in my notes here. I talk about that.
Oh, are you? Okay, I
So
didn't have it. So,
I feel like remember the time when he actually saw the granddaughter, right? When they talk about whatever, and they start to cut away. Like I thought the movie was gonna end right there.
oh yeah.
I did
Wow.
because that was at that moment I was looking at the time. I was like, oh, this is only an hour and 20 minutes. There's still another 40 minutes of this film to go over stuff. And I was thinking like, well, they could have perfectly fine to end it right there, but they didn't. And throughout this last couple of minutes, it did drive me like, okay, I did like this movie, but then the long and it makes me want to go down like I don't like this anymore. I do like all the robots. It's very like polite, gentle, and sweet, but
Yeah.
sometimes it feels like that changes when they put Robin Williams in his own body form and out of the robot,
Yeah.
and like that change, right? I didn't like it quite as much because he stopped really acting like a robot Andrew, and then Android Andrew has a different feel to him. Have you ever
Yeah,
caught that? It's like he should be acting the same
he
technically.
did act the same in a way because you got to remember some scenes. All right, when he's walking through the park with her, you saw his jacket's flopped up.
Yeah.
What would most people do?
Oh, close it.
Not
Yeah.
him,
Yeah,
because
I know.
he doesn't wear
But
clothes.
the way
So
I'm talking about is like it's because the emotion he was more able to display. If you put
oh
the robot suit back on Robin Williams, the line wouldn't deliver the same. Like when he was annoying, right? Hey, you have an impact drill? Yes, it's right over there. You know why he asked that? Because it's for the comedic effect, right?
yeah,
But he was
yeah,
in robot version, that wouldn't have been as funny, and I don't think that would have worked. And that's what I meant by like it
yeah.
was
You're right
different for
because
me.
he would have looked. Yeah, because you're think because well the problem is he's also in human form, so you're more accepting him.
Yeah,
Even the audience, they want the audience to accept him more now.
I guess a little part, right? It was
But
unbelievable.
I would say the movie actually sped up from the from when he shows up to see the granddaughter.
Yeah,
When he
from
bumps
that
into the
moment
granddaughter,
on, yeah,
from then on, the
it
movie
was
was just
it was a
the
different time
pacing was better.
pasting.
Yeah, the pacing was better.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
I
Oh,
know
I do.
because
A little
old
part
age.
that they showed, but it didn't become a big deal. It was the thing about the law. The first time they brought the thing about the law is, can Andrew have a bank account? And I'm
Oh yeah,
thinking like,
for real laws.
yeah, for real laws, right? And I'm thinking like, I thought about that when they brought that up. Like, can a robot have a bank account? No, because you need like a social security number and birthplace, things to open an
Well,
actual bank account.
but I think if there's money involved in it and the bank can make some money, yeah,
Oh, they should. Yeah, I know, right? It's just
yeah, because
different.
that's all it is. It's just a business. That's really not a law thing.
And the other thing I didn't
But the
like,
problem
right?
is, it would be weird if a piece of property, like your car or something's keeping its money at the bank. I mean,
Yeah, that's
the
really
thing
weird.
is, the thing would be like, could Sam Neill's character go, well, that's my money because I own that machine. That would be your
Oh,
problem. That would be your conflict, and the bank would go like,
not
well, we
only the
just keep
conflict,
that.
right? But then like let's just say like what like your example, like, oh, I'm putting all my money in my car's name. So when I go bankrupt, right? Oh, my,
Or
like
your
how did
dog. But
yeah.
it's like people gave the money to the dog and stuff. I mean, as long as there's lawyers involved and they write up some stuff, you can keep it. There's not going to be anybody go, oh, they're sorry, it's against the law to do this. Because I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
people are
right now
stupid.
in Bicentennial Man, it's not really against the law. We just don't have laws that
Yeah,
questions
and we
this
don't even in the real world.
area.
Why would you? I mean, they're really like, why would this? Why would this happen?
Because we're not there yet, I guess.
Yeah, because we haven't made it there yet.
All right, so now we talk about money, right? What kind of jobs can robots not take or not steal in this case? We already talk about police work, right? But like something simple, like this
Well,
is
they
definitely
could
something a
still do
human has to
police
do.
work. They could still do police work. They just couldn't actually
Be
do
on the field.
apprehension.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they could do
they do all the
accounting work.
paperwork.
Yeah.
Or they could go do service jobs because in some big cities, police go and change tires, help people on the
Oh,
side of the road.
service jobs.
Yeah,
Wow. So what? Are,
I
no, no,
mean,
no. So what is
because I
the
mean,
no
because
the opposite
actually,
of that question?
but
What
here's
is
the
the
thing.
job that robots can't take?
Yeah, you said what can they not
They
take? To be
cannot,
honest with you, what
like
can they
something that
not take?
human has to.
Especially if they look like they wouldn't probably make very good therapists. But again, I don't know because I mean, a therapist should be biased, and a robot's going to be the most biased thing on earth.
A robot's gonna be the most biased
It
thing
could
on earth.
actually, because the thing was therapists. Because now I said that, I'm thinking I already made a mistake by saying therapist. Because therapists will sit there and listen to people, and sometimes they fall in love with their patients and
Hmm.
get involved, and then they steer those people in the wrong direction.
Oh, I
Try to
didn't
put
think
their
about
own
that.
deals in it. Like some woman comes in, talks to the therapist about her husband, and the therapist like, "Oh, I like this lady." Someone tell her to divorce her husband instead of work it out. See, a
Oh,
robot wouldn't do that. So, what can a robot not do? I don't know.
because we
A
could.
robot,
There's
a
always talk
robot.
about jobs like robots
I
can
mean,
do, but
if you watch Terminator, you can see that robots have decided they don't need people. Period.
you know what's really funny about Terminator is that like after the I didn't even think about this till now because I asked that question from a point, right? Like, why did they start making themselves with faces? Like, because they don't care about humanity, right?
Oh well, there is though the hunt humanity.
But then why did they have the faces? They could have been like just a solid plate. You
No,
know what
yeah,
I
but
mean?
they said even there they says though it's to
Oh, just
get
to put
in
that
and
skin.
mingle.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get in and mingle with people and then they kill you.
But then only certain types need faces, right? There could be like the
Yeah,
badder ones
like
that doesn't need
well, like the ones
faces.
that look like Arnold Schwarzenegger stuff, they didn't need faces or anything.
Yeah, yeah.
But the first ones but I guess that's from the first versions they had though, where they go in with you, sit there, and then go, "Hey, Bob, how are you doing? Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I'm a Terminator. Kill you." Because that's what they were for. But I bet you though it may have been for military, because we don't know how far Skynet gets ahead, because we know the first robots. We've seen some of the movies. Skynet had just those rolling machines, but for all we know, Skynet, before Skynet took over the robot system, they made had robots that looked like humans. That way, you could put them on the battlefield and work with
Oh,
soldiers, and nobody would know the thing. And of course, the enemy soldiers would think, "Oh, I'm shooting a human. This is it mess with their head." If you're shooting a man that looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger and he's not going down, you're gonna think, "Man, I got problems."
yeah.
You're not gonna know. You're not gonna think, "Oh, this is a robot." Because I mean,
No.
if it's a robot, you're going to go ahead and pull out the heavy artillery if robots come at you. But if a bunch of men come at you, you're going to use the lighter
Oh,
gun
okay.
weapon and save the artillery for your tanks and stuff. Then you're going, oh wait, we should have pulled the artillery out to begin the beginning.
Okay. Hey, let's
So
put
we
this
don't know that.
question on the back burner. Let's talk about more robot movies because I do need more time to think about this.
What?
Like,
Oh, this question here.
yeah, the
What
job
was
that
the question?
robots can't take.
Yeah, well,
That
that's the
it
thing. It's
has
going
to
to take
be
us.
done by a human.
What is it now?
Oh, I don't know. We
There
have to
is
think
no
about it.
job artwork. But the problem is we were seen by they can mimic
Artwork
our
was
artwork.
good. Yeah, but they cannot create. That's
They
the same
cannot
question from
create, because you got to remember
iRobot.
they got to remember the robots can't create anything. People are getting on there and they act like robots can create stuff, but they cannot create anything.
They have to, so basically it's
Let
just
me put it this way: if humans never made any work of art, then you can't get anything from a machine.
so it's kind of like so
Like,
what
let's say I
robots can
type
do
it
is
in.
something repetitive, like a batch work.
Yeah, they can only do like, okay. Because let me put it: it's impressive. I mean, AI art is impressive. I
Okay.
get on there, I go, I want to see a redheaded woman or a princess or Luke Skywalker. You can say anything. You go, I want them to wear a 1950s spacesuit. I want them to carry a sword, or you can say I want to carry a Viking sword, and then I want them to jump out of a spaceship, and I want it to be under a full moon with a sky. Well, the thing is, the machine will take all those things together, and it'll go through every piece of artwork that it has in its collection and
And mash them
put them
together.
together, match it together. If if somebody on Earth has never painted a spaceship, you're probably going to have an automobile floating in the sky
Oh,
or
because
sitting
that's
on the
how the
ground with them
robots
get
can
out,
get it.
because that's what I'll see it, because it's going to try to extrapolate what does a space vehicle look like. And the thing is, if you'll notice, if space vehicles, if you let's say all that, there's no telling what the spaceship will look like. The spaceship will look either like something from Star Wars for a long time, until I say I want a 1950s style spaceship. There's only going to be so many paintings of 1950 spaceships, so a lot of them are going to look the same. It's not going to come up with a new one.
So it could be like
You will have to.
1880 spaceship, and then the
It could.
AI. Yeah.
It could look like a steampunk spaceship. It could look like a lot of things. It's going to be impressive to you, but let's say the thing is somewhere. If you don't put as much information as I did, let's just say, hey, I just want a woman
Okay.
jumping out of a spaceship. It'll
Huh.
probably show me some actress, and
Yeah.
it'll probably show me some spaceship. It may even show the Millennium Falcon, depending on whose artwork they used. And then now you can get sued
Ah, so
because you're using
AI.
somebody else's work. The AI is not creating work; it's using other works, but it puts enough stuff on it. Like if I said, oh, I want to see a red Millennium Falcon. Well, it make that Millennium Falcon red. Most likely, though, it'll look for red spaceships and put those parts of the red spaceship and then color the whole thing, and then you got a new spaceship. So
Huh.
nobody can go that. But the problem is, we think it's showing us new stuff. But like say a picture, I would say I want the woman's back towards me. You want to say a hair color too. So that way, it gives you more distinction. Doesn't use somebody's complete work, but it's going to have to find a picture of somebody's back to you. So it's always going to have certain poses, are going to be poses that somebody's already painted. That's why you end up with little hands in the wrong spot on AI or fingers in the wrong spot. Because if you notice AI art, sometimes some machines are really good, but sometimes they'll have three fingers. Sometimes they'll
So
have four hands.
so right
They'll
now,
get a
from
hand
what you
set out
just
of
talked
nowhere.
about, it's basically like jobs of people who design stuff.
Yeah. I
So
mean, somebody
robots
has.
can't do that.
Yeah, somebody has. They've got to feed
They
the
gotta,
machine tons
yeah.
of. Yeah, it's like the ones that make art. I mean, make songs. Sorry, they got AI. I go. I want to have a song that sounds like Tupac Shakur. Okay, it can use his voice, and then it'll go through all these song deals and look for a pattern that he uses, and then put new words in it.
Oh yes. You know
But
what?
it doesn't make a new
Cody.
song.
Cody
It's
did
just
that the other
using it.
day. I
A
was
lot of people
driving
do it.
home, right? And this is what Cody texted me and Heather in the group chat. Like, hey, if you were gonna put Eric Cartman in a song, right? What would be really funny? And I'm like, well, Tupac has a diss track. That would probably be funny. And it was hilarious.
Yeah, see, the thing is, it uses patterns and stuff to make stuff, but it doesn't create it. That's why, like when you're watching this movie, you're right in a way. It's like, how did you make that horse? And she's like, well, you just saw a picture or you used the image you've seen of that horse. He didn't pose the horse. That's what she's trying to say. But he, by looking at the structure, and it's still robotic, by looking at the structure of the wood and the shapes of the wood, but that's what a human would do too. He made that horse
So
because most horses probably would have had a paw up or a leg up and a leg out or something. But he made it according to the shape of the wood, which that decided where he was going to put the legs and turn if he's going to turn the head or not. He didn't use a picture or anything in the image bank.
after that scene, I was just thinking like, so basically they bought the world's most expensive 3D printer.
Yes, that could actually cook you dinner, and make coffee.
Oh, that's really nice.
Your
What a nice
3D printer,
appliance.
your 3D printer cannot do that.
No. Oh, I would
And
like
he
an
can't,
angel.
and he can't watch after your kids or babysit your kids.
Ever seen that Geico commercial? Hello, female child. Like the robot scanning the kid.
No,
Greetings, female child. Yeah, I think it's a funny Geico commercial that does that. Like, can you imagine a robot start running daycare and these little kids are running all around, right? And this little
well,
girl's playing by herself, and this robot does a scanning thing. Greetings,
if you
female
here's the
child.
thing, if you had to make a little robot that looked like Ted or something, you could at least keep them entertained. Well,
Oh,
not the foul mouthed Ted,
yeah,
but
but the kids would chase it all day. It would be
but
brilliant.
the thing is, most robots they do make a lot of robots. They have like computer face. They make a smiley face. They can sit there. You can sit them in front of kids, and they can teach kids. I mean, we've had them for a long time, and they just keep them entertained. I mean, you'll still need a real human caretaker, but
Huh.
the machine will keep them entertained enough.
Yeah, the machine would keep him entertained enough. Yeah, you still need a human taker.
And
Cause,
it can be because I mean the thing is AI is good too because but the thing is AI has to be on something has to have happened in a real world. It cannot make its own assumptions. Even like AI doctors, you feed the machine all the symptoms, and then you sit there and the machine asks you a lot of questions. By extrapolating certain responses, they can give you a list of things that could be wrong with
right?
you. Because I mean that's how a human doctor is going to do it. He's going to go, do you have a fever? Are your eyes red? Blah blah blah, and he's going to come up with like maybe several options and then try to cut those options. I mean, everything in life is actually a checklist,
Huh.
and that's the same thing with the computer. When it's running through everything, it does a checklist. It's like if you give a computer enough information, because see, so many things in our world happen, and we think, oh, this is, like say a football game. A really good football player, you always see stats. He's going to throw this many a bad one will throw this many interceptions. He almost throws this many every game. Let's put it this way. Or this one throws this many touchdown
The
passes this
percentage,
game.
yeah.
Yeah, the percentage. Well, a computer could be fed that percentage, and then you plus put it's going to be rainy. They're going to play in Dallas, and by all the stats of all the players, you can almost get the right score of a game eventually.
Oh, that's very interesting.
See, that's the thing. So AI is going to be able to tell you a game and get probably a lot of scores because let's say it's going to go, well, this is the player. He almost always does this average. He almost always does this average, the players he's with. And then you need to type in what date it is because on this date, this player, let's say if it's got the temperatures this cold, let's say the quarterback's not very good in the cold. Well, he's going to throw less. But in the hot weather, he's good. So it's going to be 78. Well, that's like this. The computer's like, well, he's going to throw
What
more
a percentage, yeah,
passes.
passes.
Yeah, he's going to be fast. He's going to move quicker, and plus all the other team members, if all their stats are in there,
So AI
and
already works like that.
the team, because you also got to remember, yeah, and it does because you got to
I mean, like
remember
in video games, like if you
it
do
does, it
like
does.
computer by
It's slow
itself,
because you got to
yeah.
remember as we go on, our video games are more accurate to what a game's going to be played because you got to think players going to play depending on what stadium and how many hours they spend on the road. But see,
Yep.
we don't have complete that much data because you don't always put the temperatures in. We don't put how many hours they're going to be in. Plus, you almost got to think where this person's born. You might want to put that in because that might affect how they're going to live their life because things off the field affect you during the game. So you
Yeah.
want to put that. This player's married. This player's married to this person or this type of person. Eventually, if you put that much data in, you'll be able to figure out anything you want on this planet.
Wow.
Because you got to think. Let's say if they could have all your life. Let's say all your DNA. They don't need just your DNA. They know your mom and dad did this. Your parent, your great grandparents did this. Your grandparents developed this problem. Then they go, Lamb, when you're 42, you're gonna get cancer.
Hmm.
Or this age, you're gonna have a heart attack because
So from
everybody in your whole line of family did
from
it
what you
this time.
just described, right, is like what you talk about in the beginning of Gattaca.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, though, the more information you can, the more better options you are to predict the future.
That's like that. Yeah, that's how I feel
Because
about medical
because
history.
everything in life goes in a circle,
That's how I
basically.
figure out about family medical history.
Yeah, but problem is you need more data than
Yeah.
just that and then stuff, and it's never going to happen exactly the same at the same date, same time.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the
Yeah, I
thing is,
understand that too.
but the thing is, usually if this problem's happened in this in Earth's time, it happens again. So if you have enough data to do it, like even weather, if the thing is the weather, we're still off on the weather, but the problem is there's so much data that we do not record and we're still missing.
Wow.
Because they record, maybe movements of certain things on, they just go, well, and this date was 73, and they put all the dates together. So we had this average of this many days on this April. It's always this time, but they don't take into account that maybe they had a snow in this point in time, or there was a climate shift here, or there's an earthquake there, something, or the icebergs melted here. They got to have more data in order to do they get an accurate weather, and they never gotten it. The same thing with the football game. They're still missing tons of data.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They only know what they know on the field,
Yeah,
but
because
not
they're just
outside.
doing stats. They're just doing stats, but they're also not doing.
They don't do the
They're not
emotional
doing
state.
stadiums.
They're not
Yeah,
doing
well, they're
emotional
also,
state of
but
the player
they
when they
also do
got,
need the stadiums, the time travel to get there. If they rode by bus, they rode by train. I
Did them
mean, you can't
like
get all that,
did
but you
like
still get.
dealing with a family death before
But
they
they,
play, things like that.
but like I'm saying though, the temperature would be a big factor too.
Oh, temperature's a big factor. Yes.
Was the wind blowing? Was it snowing? Was it cold? Was it
Oh,
raining?
it's a team from Florida, right? But they're going to play in Wisconsin, so it's going to be
Yeah,
different. Yeah.
yeah.
It's kind of like sometimes when I think about that, right? Like how the football season starts, like Texas is really bad allergies. You have people from the East Coast coming to Dallas in the warm weather, right? Like, man, my nose is all stuffed up. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, it's like this. There's people try to do this to guess the stock market. But
Oh
you
yeah,
need to
yeah, yeah.
know. But you need to know. Is there a war going on? What you need to know the time, the
Yep.
date, whatever, all that. Plus, you need to know what type of president you
Well,
got.
we're getting too far into stats and stuff. So I
But
want to get
I'm
back
just
to.
saying
Oh
though.
yeah, I know. I want to get back to Bicentennial Man, right? So one of my favorite, um, I don't want to say parts or whatever, like things that happen in this movie is they cast Oliver Platt. Now this actor to me, every time I see him, right, he has a calming effect. I think it's just the characters that he played that I've seen him before, right? But like every time he shows up, like, hey, I trust this guy. This is the guy I trust right here, right? For
Well,
this movie,
I actually could go with that too.
yeah, you know what I mean, right?
Because as soon as he comes out, because you already dealt with one guy that would try to destroy him.
Yeah.
He comes out and you already know, like, this guy's going to help him.
Yes,
You already
yeah,
know
it's
that. That's just
it's
the way he
weird.
acts.
It's the way that Oliver Platt, his
He's not
presence
the
gives
villain.
you.
So that's the thing, If he ever shows up in the movie and becomes a villain, which I don't know if he has or not, or he's going to crush the audience.
I think he's typecast in that way because,
Well,
like you and I said the same thing. Like, oh, he gives you some kind of calming effect
he could
every
be the bad
time.
guy in the movie. He's probably been a bad guy. We probably just don't know it.
We probably just never seen that one
Never seen that role.
because he's not like a huge actor, right? But he's in numerous stuff.
Yeah. But he's like that other actor, like you said, the lawyer, the son.
Oh yeah, from
Yeah,
Billy
he's
Madison.
he's
Yes.
already a bad guy.
Yeah, he's already a bad guy. Yep. Like you just seen him, like, oh, he's a weasel.
Oh, I like it. I like it goes. Sometimes I think you're not kin to me, and I like it goes. Did he breastfeed?
And I do like oh, that would explain the attitude. Like that's his daughter. Oh, that would explain the attitude.
Yeah, that would explain that. Yeah, you're right. I like that.
Because that's logical for
Yeah,
the
I love
robots.
that.
You're like,
That is
oh
a pretty
yeah,
good scene because I like it. Because so, whose daughter are you?
yeah, it's my son. Ah, that would explain it. I do like that. I do like that. Like I said before, like the humans, they picked the right characters to have a bias against the robot, but it wasn't until the end the bias from that robot, right, which came from Otis' older sister all the way to the granddaughter, until she spent time with him. Then she have a different thing about Andrew, like a different thought process.
Yeah,
Maybe just
we
not just
say that,
Andrew, but
but the problem
robots.
is, I don't think she ever really had a problem.
It's just a bias thing.
Yeah, I don't think it was even a bias because the thing is, he just walks in and she's sitting there playing piano. He just comes up to her and just starts talking to her like that. He decided, but he didn't know. I think he had a feeling he liked her because he saw her and he thought she was Little
Yeah,
Miss.
Little Miss.
So in a way, he liked her, but he couldn't accept it. That's not Little Miss.
Yep.
That was his problem. He could have that, and she was intrigued too because the way she acted, she didn't really act. Even the actress didn't act like she had a problem with him. She had a problem with him not accepting her because he just showed up and didn't want to accept her.
Oh.
Because remember, he's like, "You can't look like that." He skips, and she's like, "Why can't I look like this?" He goes, "You can't look like this. You can't do this." He's already come up into her world and told her, "You don't belong in this world. You don't belong in this house. You're not. You're not correct."
Man, do we want
So
robots looking
basically, he
like
was
humans?
basically he did Sheldon.
No, we don't. Like you said, unless it's a girlfriend. I gotta think about. I don't think I need a robot that looks like a human. No, so
You
no
really
alien,
don't. I mean,
no Wayland
really.
Incorporation androids.
Well, we already know we don't want a David robot
Yeah.
because
So David is so Andrew is just like David. They have their own thoughts. They want to do their own things. They have emotional state.
yeah. Well, the thing is though, we also got to think people could put if something acts like it's human or even remotely it's human. Sometimes we'll go ahead and accept it, and we also add more emotions that aren't really there. It's like how you ever know with AI because if people keep going AI will never be human. Well, and I'm not saying that AI will never be able to be like a human. Never. They'll not, a lightning bolt's not going to hit it and make it more human. You're not going to drop him out the window and make him more human. You're not going to make him have his own feelings. The problem is it's the threshold where we program so far, we can't ask enough questions. Like in Blade Runner. Remember, he sits there and asks Rachel
Yeah.
all those questions. And after he asks enough questions, he had to ask a million questions almost to figure out she's a robot.
Yep.
The thing is, he had to reach the threshold of our program. The thing is, we may program this so far that we'll never be able to guess that they're a robot. So we'll just automatically assume that they're coming up with their own thoughts. So it's like asking Alexa a lot of questions.
Yeah.
We always can reach her threshold. I reach her threshold a lot because I think
Oh
it's
yeah,
fun.
I do too.
I'll ask her a lot of questions until she can't answer them. But eventually, the thing is, every time I ask her a question, she's learning something. If they're keeping up with the information I ask, they have to program an answer for everything I've asked her. Eventually, I won't be able to reach a
Do,
threshold, and then
do
I'll
you
be like,
change the name of Alexa?
I didn't never have.
Oh, okay.
It cost money, so I left
No,
it
it doesn't.
alone. Well, I think there was only like a few choices.
Well, I told you like Alexa, Echo, Amazon, and computer.
Yeah, I wasn't happy with any of those choices. And
Well,
plus, it wasn't my Alexa anyway, so I couldn't change the
oh,
name.
okay. I changed mine to computer because, like you said, it sounds like Star Trek.
Yeah, it looks like Star Trek, and you think I would change mine to that, but anyways, like I said, the more you program it, the more human they're going to sound.
Yeah.
But they're not really coming up with their own thoughts. They when I say hi,
The
how are
reason, like
you?
what you just said that
Yeah,
before, yeah.
I go hi, how are you? They automatically know 100 responses, and if they go, hey Shane, how are you? And I give them a response, they've just learned a new response to give back to somebody else that's not me, and
Oh.
they will never know. Like
And
I
I
go,
was,
oh, I'm just Peachy, and they'll see somebody else, and you go, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm just Peachy. They'll pick through several of those responses, and they'll know that if they're programmed well, they'll
this,
go, I'm talking to Lamb. I got 50 responses. They will have to cycle through all 50 before they ever give you the same response
you
again.
just described that scene in Terminator 2 when John is trying to, when John is teaching the Terminator, like, hey, don't say affirmative or some shit like that. They're like,
Yeah.
no problemo. Chill
Well,
out,
and
dickwad.
in this one, though, you got to remember in this one, he kept referring to himself as the one is what do you refer to himself as the one or I?
Yeah. It's the it. It's they had. You know what? We didn't talk about that. They also had a problem. Like it's not a he. The
Yeah, what
people
is
who are
it? A
like
machine.
it's because it's a machine.
But he refers to himself all the
As
time.
the one. Yeah, he refers to himself like
And of
one would.
course,
He refers to it as the one. One would not
yeah,
do such things.
yeah, and he says you don't refer to yourself that way anymore.
Yes.
And of course, he had a hard time with the robot wanting to leave.
You know what's
Sam
really
Neill
weird?
did.
It's because imagine Sam Neill was somebody different. Oh, I thought of a job that was one of the jobs that I love to take away, right? Even though I did this before, was videographer and photographer for a wedding. Me and Joe did that, right? And it's a lot of work. And a lot of people always don't think it's worth it to pay that much, but then it is because all the work that you gotta consider into taking on the work you have to do. Andrew was able to videotape the whole thing just by being there. I love this
Yeah,
robot for that feature.
yeah,
But then it doesn't help me with the question I asked, like, what job can a robot not take?
yeah. And I mean, he just spends it all. And he would probably edit it based on what he's seen of editing by watching hundreds of Hollywood movies and so forth.
Or just like videography movies, like, highlights and stuff like
And
that. Yeah.
here's the thing: it does. This movie does show its age in a way, though, because remember he wants to do woodworking, so he reads a book. He reads a lot of books. But in our time and age, all he had to do is just upload it stuff.
Yeah. And they didn't talk about the internet at that point because,
Yeah, because there was no such thing.
wow, they should probably
Well, there
remake
was
this
such
movie. Will probably
thing.
be better. It is a remake of this movie
Oh, well, if
with
they
the
remade
internet.
it, they could make it better. But the problem is they could just make this movie better because not just our technology though, but they know where this movie was lacking and what steps to fix.
Yeah.
But would it be that good if it didn't have Robin Williams?
Oh, well, yeah, I think it would. It's
Well, it
like I
could.
said
It
before,
probably
it's
wouldn't
just
be
the
as
actor.
funny. Wouldn't be as common. It's probably as comedic.
It's just really the actor and the director.
Yeah.
That's
Well, they
it.
could call it. They could call it the Positronic Man now.
The Takawaki guy could probably make this good.
Maybe.
Takahiki Waki.
It doesn't
Waki
matter.
or
We
something.
butchered his name. We
But
just
it's just something like that. It just really depends on direction and
actually a lot of people
storytelling.
could make it because I mean
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus made this movie and it was boring.
I know. And it's
Exactly.
like all the other movies that we saw of Christopher Columbus is not boring as this one.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a subject matter that he wanted to show, but he didn't show
Well,
it as
maybe,
well. Like
yeah, maybe he thought he was showing a certain thing and we're just not seeing
there's
it.
gonna be a
problem
cult
is-
following of this movie. This movie is good. It's good, but it's really long.
Yeah,
Even though it's only
problem is,
2 hours and a minute.
I don't think there's a cult following because the problem is it takes so long. But I do like the opening. The opening and shows you all the little parts going together, building.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sitting there. This could be the opening to a Terminator movie.
Oh, a different world.
They are building the T-0.
You know what? I'm so glad that you told me the guy who wrote I, Robot wrote Bicentennial Man. So it's just these are based on books, right? Obviously.
Yeah. This is Isaac Anovis. I can't say his last name right.
Ah, you know what? I'm gonna look him up. So because he said
Yeah.
this is based on what?
But you should know who this is. Or is it? Or I may be wrong. Or is it? Yeah, it's Isaac Anovis. It's not Ray Bradbury.
The novel, the
Yeah, it's Positonic.
Positonic Man by Isaac Asimov.
Yeah.
Asimov.
I think it's probably Asimov.
What kind? Oh, so he's American. Well, he probably
Yeah, but
migrated from another country, though.
But he is like the father of robotics in a way.
He's a father.
He didn't really make robotics, but he made.
But he
the
wrote
books.
about the
But
books.
he writes really good science fiction that can be almost real. I mean, he thinks of world problems and he makes a story with it and tries to make it functional. But of course, time will always make your stories not.
Yeah, time. Yeah.
Because I mean, come on, you can't.
Well, he only can
foresee
deal
everything.
with what he know at that time
Yeah,
too.
you can't foresee
He's
everything.
he also was very futuristic at that time.
Yeah, he was way ahead of his time when he wrote the story.
Yeah, way ahead of his time.
But I mean, as time goes along, you're not going to see everything.
So I do like his thought process of like how robot thinks and stuff. I think that's what make this movie really good for me. The question of humanity from a person, well, not a person.
Yeah.
From the
I can't
one.
remember what the guy that came up with robots. I think his last name was Kapak or something.
Kapak.
He was Czech. Yeah, I can't remember what his name was. Anyways, but he's wrote the first one of the first.
Is there another
robot
book
stories.
that they brought out
No.
from him? No, just I, Robot.
Everybody's based on his book. He wrote a book about robots, about somebody being a mechanical man. I can't remember if robot meant soulless or something like that.
The
Some
Three Laws
soul
of
or
Robotics.
something.
Hey man, the Three Laws of Robotics is really good. It came out in the 40s, you know.
Yeah, well, it was pretty good. But then,
Well,
and I
maybe
mean,
50s. I don't know when he stopped writing books.
but I mean, we got robots now that got machine guns attached to them. I mean, somebody is controlling them, but eventually they
I
could
mean, like,
say, "Look like a
you know,
man
when you say
shoot."
robot, like the first time I heard of the Tesla, right, back in 2011 or whatever, like, I think I was doing, probably was still in film school when people were talking about like robot cars. Like, whoa, so this car can drive itself?
Knight Rider,
And then,
Knight
yeah,
Rider.
like Knight Rider, like, so what you're
Yeah,
saying to me is I can get really hammered drunk and a car will just take me home. This
yeah.
is a robot car.
I mean, that's the idea.
That's a great idea. You know,
I mean,
sometimes when I'm
really
driving in
can't do
traffic,
that
right?
yet.
So yesterday I had to take Ryan to a soccer training that's not really far. It's like 40 something minutes away. But I had to go on the tollway in George Bush during rush hour because it starts at 6. So I had to leave my house at least by the latest by 5 just to make sure that we get on time. And I was so upset at the traffic, right? I'm like, you know, you drive in Texas, the traffic get really bad right about you exit to, like, there's a possibility of exit to another highway because jerk-offs let you be on the left lane until the very last seconds to cut to the right, and those are the people that causes the delay in traffic because it stops the middle and the right lane, and that's why there's a major
Yeah,
stop.
well, humans are problems because they're not
Humans are the problem. So I told Heather,
not
like, I
consistent.
can't wait until nobody drives on the road and all cars are autonomous because at that time,
Actually,
then the cars can go faster.
why even do that? Why, there's an easy way. If you don't want to drive, get on a bus or a train.
We don't have
Simple
that
as
option
that.
here.
Well, that we should build that because it would be cheaper.
It would be cheaper. That's one of the
It
things
would be
that
cheaper.
from the lives that I grew up in, it was always an
Yeah,
option.
yeah, and all the European countries, they don't have to drive. You know why they don't
No,
have to
they
drive?
don't have to.
Because they already got another option. Because I
Yep.
mean, there's something that would already take you there, and that's the thing. It would be so much cheaper. Because why would you want all these autonomous vehicles?
But
Because a
but
mistake can be made in an
wait.
autonomous
But
vehicle.
the thing about this that Heather noticed when we were in Hong Kong is like, even though there's public transportation available, right? It takes longer. Like, let's just say it takes
Yeah.
me at 5 o'clock to get there
But
by
no,
driving, right?
that's not. But that's cool. Yeah, I get that. But all we have to do is take public transportation, buses, trains, stuff, and make them fully autonomous. That's the only part it has to be autonomous.
But then how's that different with other people driving on a car? I wouldn't go agree on a bus. Like
Because see,
train,
the
then I
thing,
could agree. Train
because
would
see,
be great.
well, the same thing with the bus though. The bus, if they only have a lane for buses and stuff,
Oh, you have to have a lane for bus. Then that's
you'll
different.
have to have a route just for all that stuff to move because it's going to be efficient because it's going to go. Oh, I'm not running this problem. I'm going to run this problem. I know where all the other buses are. I know how fast I need to go and how fast I got to speed up or slow down to make it this stop.
Yep.
I mean, a computer's going to be able to do that. And if you had all cars autonomous, it's going to work. It's
Oh,
going to be like, let's say everything just drove. But the problem is you're still always going to have that one person that wants to do their own thing.
yep. So I talked about that before too. I'm gonna say it again. In that future world, the person that decides to drive themselves, anytime an accident happens, the person's at fault.
Yeah, okay.
Automatically by default.
Yeah, well, you're going back to the communist type thing because I mean,
Nope.
there we go. Because
Nope.
now you don't have
Not
freedom to do
communist.
what you.
Nope.
No, yeah, it is. You don't have
Nope.
freedom to pick.
No,
what
you
you're
have the
gonna do.
freedom to do it. But as soon as there's an accident, right, you're the cause.
Okay,
We don't have to
well,
look at footage at all because humans have like, oh, I'm just gonna go this way immediately right now, like we do right now.
yeah, well,
anyways.
that makes sense. But the problem is they'll probably. But if you're going to do that, then the human can't just do what he wants anymore.
No, humans can do what they want. That's what I'm saying. But you're the one who caused the accident because you did by whatever you want.
Well, I'm sure you did, but you're
Yep.
not going to be able to do it because if the other car stops faster, the computer's going to stop faster than you. Then you ran into the back of them. It's not really your fault.
Nope,
It's
it's
your
the
fault
it's
now
the
for
human
being.
fault because you
It's
decided
not
to
your
drive.
fault for being human.
No, my thought process because you decided
But
to
here's the
drive.
question. But see, that's the dumbest thing because that
No,
means regular people just can't drive now. Thanks a lot, Lamb.
that's good. You're welcome. You're very
No,
welcome.
you just ruined the world.
Nope,
You just ruined the world.
nope,
Take a bus.
nope. Oh, I could take the bus too. It just you
Take
had
the
to leave
bus.
even earlier.
Have them build a better autonomous bus for you.
No, I don't really care. You know what's really funny though? Like we talk about this. Let's just say autonomous whatever. Like let's just say whatever. Let's just say it doesn't matter like political view. Like all cars are
Okay.
autonomous, right? The one thing I do look forward to is like getting rid of auto insurance. Right?
You
That's a
know,
huge upside. That
well,
industry
here's let me put
gone.
it this way. Here's the way though.
But
I'm
not all
thinking
the way.
when there's money involved, It usually doesn't
Oh,
disappear.
I know. So the other thing
They
I
will
thought
be
about.
paying. They
No,
will
no,
be
no, no.
charging you
Oh,
for the robot
I
car that
agree.
can't
I will
do
agree with
anything.
you. So the thing I thought about autonomous driving is like, so let's just say the world's autonomous driving, right? But then the city is not gonna be cool with losing its money. Like, oh, you're supposed to pay for a driver license, you gotta get that renewed, right? What they will have you do, I said this before, they will issue an operator's license. So that way they can even bring in more money because you
Yeah,
know
you're
what?
right.
My
They will.
11-year-old can get into an autonomous car, but he needs a operator's license to do so. Now, instead of like, hey, we don't have to wait for kids to be 16 anymore. We could start issuing uh, at 11.
Well,
When
it's
you
like
can go to middle school, let's issue them a operator's license. That's even more money
yeah,
than
well, I'm
starting at
surprised they don't do
16.
that now. I'm surprised they don't do that for electric cars now. Because think about it, everything's paid for by all the taxes, the tons of taxes they stick on gas money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, gasoline. Gasoline really don't cost that much. It's all the extra taxes you pay for.
Yeah.
But if you're getting an electric car, you don't have to pay all those taxes. So you get in your car, you drive down the road, you're not paying taxes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're thinking, well, we either got to tell you that your electric car is really bad for the environment,
I don't really care for the environment,
or
but yeah.
yeah, they're going to have to tell you that because they got to lie to you. So you'll go back to buying gasoline because that's the only way they can tax you. I mean, come on, think about it. Anybody with any brain sense knows it doesn't, because they always tell you, oh, it takes to make this lithium, we spent this much in pollution to make that lithium. Like anybody with any common sense
No,
will
that is
know
not true.
it's a correct. Because I saw
Yeah.
somebody on TV goes, oh, the charge electric car, it uses more power than it takes to run a Walmart
Oh,
entire
yeah, it's
night.
dumb.
I was
Yeah, yeah.
like, well, then nobody'd be able to charge the car up at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's common sense to you, but that's the thing. Somebody's got to tell you a lie, so you'll
Yep.
get it. You won't use it. That way, they can continue to tax you money. So I'm
Yep.
thinking eventually they're probably just going to issue an operator's license and go, well, you got an electric car, you don't have to pay. And
Oh,
they already
I'm
do.
so
Texas,
glad you
they
said
pay you.
operator's license. Thank you,
They
Shane.
change you. They charge you what, $400?
Oh, they
Just
can
to
even
run.
charge you less, but like but then it's
But
because
they
there's
got
more
to.
people they can have
They
one
got to
now.
punish you. They got to punish you because you're not paying taxes.
Yep. But I'm
So,
gonna end on this
so
note. I'm gonna end on this note because this month, right, is had to drive an electric car, and registration, right, is always like $65 to $70.
yeah, wasn't
But
it $400?
oh, it's $200 for registration. Because you said they're gonna get their money, right? They are all right because I have to
Yeah, so
register this electric car for $200.
so you're gonna pay all that tax money that they're not getting anymore that you normally pay for fuel.
Yep, exactly. But then you know what? In the long run, it still save a lot more money with that registration fee because gas is obviously a lot more expensive now than the year that
Well,
Heather got the car.
well, you also got to think though they'll probably start charging you certain fees for electricity too.
Probably too, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
they go, yeah, you know what?
But then there's always like, well, I could charge my car at the Cinemark.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
And IKEA.
That's the thing though. You actually, if you think about it, you can put solar cells and cut your cost of charging your car.
Oh, we have
you
that.
Can do a lot. You can do a lot of things.
We have solar power
I'm just saying for anybody though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nobody seems to think it. Everybody assumes that your electricity for your electric car has to come from a coal plant.
Yeah.
I'm like, actually, most of America doesn't use coal plants anymore. Europe doesn't.
You know what? That's a discussion for another day. We're way over time, and we'll see you guys on the next one. And more robot talk, hopefully. Thank you for tuning in for this episode of Tensai Reviews. If you like what you heard, give us a thumbs up. Follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you on the next one.